Today is an extremely important video for those that want to succeed in the crypto market over the next few weeks and summer months. Over the last few days, we have had a major pullback in the crypto market. However, today, things are starting to look much more green, with many altcoins beginning to bounce off major levels. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the only altcoins that you should consider buying right now. These are the only coins in the market that I would feel comfortable putting my money into in today's environment. And I'm also going to be talking about the altcoins that you probably should be avoiding in this current environment. And there's a really fine line between the two, and it can be a matter of succeeding in a trade and failing in a trade in terms of asset selection right now, which, in my opinion, given altcoin dilution, given the current market environment, is almost at an all-time high in terms of its premium in your trading strategy. So that's, I think, what makes today's video so important. I'm basically going to teach you what to look for, give you the exact altcoins that I am personally playing in this environment, and also the kind of altcoins to avoid in this market. But firstly, I'm going to go through the charts and give you a little bit of a market update as to what has eventuated over the last 24 hours. Firstly, looking at the Bitcoin chart on the 4-hourly, then we'll go progressively higher in terms of the time frame to the daily and the weekly chart. On the 4-hourly chart, Bitcoin did bounce nicely off this 64k support level. If you go back all the way to February 2024, this was actually the previous high before the first rejection that did eventually end up leading to Bitcoin's all-time high in price. So it actually was a major pivot point for Bitcoin, which it bounced off, and it's now starting to make a nice recovery. Heading onto the daily, though, we can see that this recovery is still technically happening below a major level on the daily from May 15th. And what Bitcoin really needs to do from a bullish perspective is reclaim this level so it can start heading towards the range high zone. The way I view Bitcoin right now is essentially you have range high, you have range low here at $59,000, and Bitcoin is currently chopping in this range. It's been chopping for almost 100 days since March. Chopping within the range is of course to be expected. However, you can look at these mid-range support and resistance levels, for example, $66,000, as key pivot levels that Bitcoin tends to react off in order to determine its next move, whether that means coming back down to range low or up to range high. So I'm closely watching how Bitcoin reacts in this area. Does it push up and reject off 66, or, like many altcoins did over the past 24 hours, can it reclaim this level and start to give us long opportunities to target that 71k zone? That is something I'm going to be eyeing over the next few days on Bitcoin. This is a daily chart, of course, so this will take 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially even 5 days to play out. So just keep your eye on that. Some of the other altcoins I'm going to discuss later in this video are somewhat more time sensitive, as we'll be looking at the lower time frame charts like the 4-hourly. On the weekly chart for Bitcoin, it's important to assert we are still sitting above the key level, which is the previous Bitcoin all-time high from the 5th of April 2021. As you can see here, it's also the level that acted as resistance despite a squeeze above to make the all-time high for the cycle in 2021. And that level also acted as a major resistance and then eventually flipped into a support level for Bitcoin, which is at $64,800, that we are now currently sitting above. So I guess the good sign amongst all the carnage in the market was that Bitcoin actually did manage to sit above its major weekly support level. So sometimes in the market, even though on the daily chart it might look slightly more bearish, and if you go even more zoomed in onto like the 4-hourly chart, it can start to look even more bearish. Sometimes it's important to zoom out and maintain perspective in the market that, look, Bitcoin is still sitting above its previous 2021 all-time high. It's still sitting above on the daily, the major level, which is, of course, the 200 MA, which is typically your bull market indicator. The 200 MA on the daily is a great indicator to indicate whether we are in a bull market or not. This has been the case pretty much every single cycle. You can see it here in 2021. Then it acted as your resistance level for the bear market before we broke above. And once again, it's a bull market indicator. So sometimes it's important to zoom out in the market and maintain perspective. What has been the strongest performer, however, over the last day on the bounce is Ethereum, and off the back of that, a lot of the Ethereum alts, which we're going to discuss later in today's show as potential plays right now. But Ethereum did bounce nicely off its major support on the daily at $3,350. It's now pushing up to what I would say is a slightly weaker resistance level at 3,666, because you have that major level at the previous high at $4,000, which of course, since it's a big round number, is a major psychological level for Ethereum. What I do like on ETH right now, aside from the fundamental setup with the ETH ETF and asset tokenization and all of the positive catalysts happening for Ethereum, is the fact that you are maintaining a strong uptrend. You have your lows setting in at 1,500, then you have a continuous series of higher lows, 2,100, again at 2,700, a retest of this level at 2,800, and now what actually looks to be another higher low at 3,362. So I wouldn't really become bearish on Ethereum at all unless we started to lose this level. Lose that level and you are flirting with danger, because it does become the first lower low in this uptrend. But we know how crypto works in terms of trends. The trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and that's exactly the logic that I'm playing here with Ethereum, and that's why in my Discord a couple of days ago I did say, and also on the show yesterday, that I was interested in maintaining long exposure to Ethereum, and that bounce level actually was a great zone for me to add to my position. And on total 3, things do get interesting, because you can see on the daily chart, we did have that wick down to this support level here at the 560 zone. Didn't quite get there, but started to flirt with the vicinity. Interestingly, the level that we lost, the key level at 610 billion on the daily, is now a range that we are currently coming back up and testing. I'll make it more visible on your screen here. So you can see here, we dropped below this. So what happened was we broke out of the flag here. We broke to the downside, we tested a key support level, and now we are looking to reclaim this level. This is a really important zone to reclaim if alts are to make their way out of this downtrend and start to make a higher high here at the 640 region, and then you could probably assert that alts are out of the clear. But alts do have some work to do. Not going to lie to you, like they still need to have positive price action to take them out of this zone, but this is, at the end of the day, total 3. TA on a broad index like this is generally more for a general indicator of market sentiment and price action. If you want to make money in the market, of course, you've got to look at the individual altcoin setups, because certain alts are actually responding a lot more bullish. And that is what I'm going to get into today, the alts that are looking the best for continuation. And then there are some alts, conversely, and many alts that you might love, many alts that are very popular in the market, they look terrible from a price action perspective, and I would honestly be avoiding them at all costs. We're going to get into them at the end of the video. So total 3, love the index for a general feel for the market, but you obviously need to be looking at your individual altcoin setups in order to validate individual trades. Now, which altcoins could lead the recovery? Let's get into this discussion now. In the Discord 2 days ago, during that major liquidation event, Paradise pointed out that ENS and ONDO were interesting plays at their respective levels. Paradise absolutely smashed it on his trades that day, by the way, because you have ENS going from 22 up to 26, ONDO going from $1 back to $1.26. A lot of his calls in his post-flush relative strength list at the time, ONDO, ENS, Lido, ENA, they've all been strong performers and pretty much all the strongest tokens in the market. So I want to say well done to Paradise. He is one of the main low time frame traders in the Miles High Club Discord community. On that day, I also said that longing ETH was probably the easiest short to midterm play because it has the strongest narrative, it's retraced the majority of its ETF pump, and it's exhibiting relative strength versus alts, and that's exactly what we got. We had ETH, actually at the time of this post, bouncing from 33,800 all the way up to 36,114. That's a 7% move to the upside, and ETH was certainly one of the strongest performers here. So well done to everyone in the Discord. We did play the bounce quite well. I was very public at the time that I was buying, and so far, those are looking like pretty good entries. I also want to say to those in the Discord, and maybe even to some people that are out of the Discord but have been considering joining the waitlist, we have a lot of amazing things coming to the Discord over the next couple of weeks. We're launching the MHC Awards in the giveaways channel. So these will be monthly giveaways for our top members of the community. We are now finally starting to roll out IDO allocations in the IDO channel. This is basically a way for you to get access to deals via my connections directly in the group. So I'm going out and brokering custom deals for Miles High Club members. That is going to be in the IDO channel very soon with our first allocations in that channel, and that's going to ramp up over the coming weeks. And I've also been doing these weekly AMAs where you can actually ask me questions one-on-one, and we are also introducing now a midweek AMA where basically you can give me any of your chart requests alongside Paradise. He's going to do the technicals because he's an amazing low time frame trader, and I'm going to give you my fundamental opinion on those coins. So just wanted to give you an update there for some of the changes in the group. And the group has another 5 days until its next monthly cycle. So there actually is a small window here for you to sign up and become part of the community. There's only 100 spots available in this intake. It's the smallest intake we've done, and those spots are almost taken up last time I checked, but there are a few more spots if you do want to sign up for the waitlist to the community. After this waitlist is full, we won't be letting anyone in until late July. So it's pretty much your last chance to get in the community for at least another 5 weeks. So if it does interest you, you can sign up for the waitlist using the link in the description. And if you are part of the first 100 people to sign up, you will get access to that community. And it's been amazing to grow that community and continue to provide amazing value and alpha to you guys through not just my own alpha in my alpha channel, but also all of the amazing features that we've got via the other contributors like Paradise, who's an amazing low time frame trader, Fabian, who's one of the best small cap traders I've seen in the market, as well as one of the best macro analysts in the market. We've got Doc for high time frame trading, market outlook, swing trades, etc. We've even got an airdrop hub, and of course the giveaways and ideas, which is the cherry on top. So very happy with what we are building over at the Miles High Club. Now, in order to assert the best coins to currently be potentially looking at longing right now, you've really got to look at relative strength. Right now, I'm not really in the mood to catch a falling knife on altcoins. I discussed this in yesterday's video. For me, I'm looking primarily at altcoins that are exhibiting relative strength, have strong narratives, and are exhibiting an uptrend. So for me, there are a few key narratives right now starting to develop in the market, which I think will lead the next couple of weeks. So this video is a little bit shorter term. I will discuss some, longer term alt setups as well at the end, but this is primarily to help you navigate the next couple of weeks in the market to try and A, beat the market, but B, hold up in terms of relative strength. So your portfolio is actually outperforming the rest of the market. That is your goal as an investor, especially in these months where you get chop in the market. Your goal is to outperform. Even if you don't make 5x gains, 10x gains, if you can make a 10% in your portfolio, even a 5%, even break even while everyone else is losing 20%, 30%, you're in a fantastic position because you've preserved capital. Capital preservation is the game. You have to stay in the game in order to reap the rewards of this game mid to long term this cycle. And given the fact I do believe there are huge rewards left in this cycle at some point, the main name of the game right now is staying in the market, ticking over some profits when you can, and then when the time to strike comes, strike and take advantage. But you can only do that if you have capital to do so. So that's why today's video is going to be focused around the kind of alts that I believe can help you maintain relative strength in the market over the coming weeks. Now, if you look at price changes on Velo, which I find to be a fantastic visual indicator of what is exhibiting strength and what isn't, you can see that PEPE, AGIX, and Ocean are clearly leading the market ahead of their ASI merger. I want to talk about these altcoins first, and then we'll get into some of the other ones, which are primarily ETH ecosystem tokens, and then there are also a few other tokens which I am currently trading that I also believe are exhibiting relative strength. But firstly, let's talk about the absolute runaway leaders in the market, and these are the AI tokens. So basically what's happening is there's a new token called ASI. It's the Artificial Superintelligence token that is launching on Binance on July 15th. So this is one of the biggest mergers we've seen in crypto. PEPE, which is a $4.5 billion project, Ocean and AGIX, which combine for another, I think, $1.5 billion, are now all combining to become a singular token. Now, I have had some questions as to how this is going to work on the financial side. It's actually quite simple. PEPE is being renamed to ASI. Thus, PEPE tokens to ASI tokens will be able to be converted at a 1-to-1 rate. So I think PEPE right now is trading at $1.65 at the time of recording this video. If you have one PEPE token, you will get one ASI token. They're pretty much 1-to-1, which implies that the ASI token is trading at $1.65. What you will also be able to do is bridge your AGIX tokens and convert them for ASI at a conversion rate of 433 0.433 that is, so 43 cents on the dollar, and your Ocean tokens at the exact same rate, parity, which is 0.433 as well. And that's why you're seeing Ocean and AGIX basically trade at the exact same price, because they are essentially going to be redeemable for the same amount of ASI tokens, which basically means the combined market cap of ASI is going to be the price of these three tokens, or the market cap of these three tokens combined, which is sitting around $6 billion. In terms of whether there's any alpha here, should you be buying FET, should you be buying AGIX ahead of the merger? It's a very hard question to answer. I mean, we can look at simple TA here, and we can look at FET and kind of assert that it has recovered strongly, but it's still below its range low. We can also look at Ocean and assert that it bounced nicely off its major support level. We can look at AGIX and also assert the same thing. The only thing that makes me hesitant to trade these tokens right now is the fact that I don't feel like I have an edge. I don't necessarily know how the market will respond to ASI. I think it's likely to be positive, so I don't necessarily think there's a reason to sell these tokens, but in terms of buying these tokens, I sit in the neutral camp, because basically the entire market capitalization is going to be merged, combined into one singular token, unless you're really smart and you have like a mathematical arb here, and you're trading the arbs between these tokens as they start to lose parity. I don't know if the regular retail trader has an edge here, and for that reason, I want to say that personally, I'm avoiding trading these tokens, but you may have an edge. You may have worked out an edge here. If that's the case, firstly, let me know. But secondly, you can play that edge. I just haven't found one, and I did, talk about this with my researchers earlier today. So that is FET, Ocean, and AGIX, which are the leaders. But the reason they're leaders on Velo is because of this token on Binance. Now let's move on to the sector, which I think is a very strong candidate to lead over the next weeks and months. The first thing I want to say here, I want to caveat this by saying, look, all of this is reliant on the general market. If Total 3 decides to come back down or reject on this level and go towards range low, even these tokens are going to bleed, right? But we are talking about relative strength here. We're saying if the market does resume to the upside, so let's say Total 3 actually recovers this daily level, reclaims, and starts to make a push to the upside, and if Bitcoin does similarly, because it will likely mean Bitcoin's pumping as well, what tokens are going to outperform in this environment? And similarly, if the market comes down and starts to break down, what tokens are you slightly better positioned in from a relative strength perspective? That is basically the two questions that we can answer right now. I believe Ethereum and Ethereum-related tokens are very strong candidates to fit this basket, as ETH was one of the strongest bounces off the lows. If you do look at Ethereum's bounce from the lows, it was around 7%. Many altcoins couldn't manage to muster like 3 to 4%, let alone ETH, which is the second biggest capitalized coin in the market. Obviously, it takes much more liquidity to pump Ethereum than a lower cap token. You do have this tweet here from Chiefing saying multi-month, possibly multi-quarter, rotation from Bitcoin to Sol barbell, more to an Ethereum-centric portfolio. I do kind of agree with this. I think this is something that is starting to happen. I think people are now realizing that Ethereum could definitely take the spotlight into the Ethereum ETF, which is coming very, very soon. The date that I've seen being touted is July 2nd, maybe slightly later, but what we do know is it's happening within the next month or two. And Solana, although I'm very bullish on Solana this cycle, I do think Ethereum probably does outperform Solana over the coming weeks and months around the ETF, because it does cause a lot of buzz. It hits mainstream media. I mean, don't fade the normies in crypto, right? When you see the ETH ETF on mainstream media, and then you see Larry Fink coming out and talking about ETH and asset tokenization, remember, BlackRock is a key player here launching an Ethereum ETF. They want to promote their new product just like any other company in the world. It's going to get attention. It's going to get hype. It may pump off that hype. That hype might not last, but I'm here to tell you that over the coming weeks, I think it will, versus the other coins in the market. And that is one of the main reasons why in my Discord, I did that post on longing Ethereum and why I thought that was the best short to midterm play in this market. Then obviously off the back of ETH, which is the strongest and most obvious play, you have a lot of the ETH betas, which are performing well. And we're here to talk about relative strength. What bounced off the lows the strongest? Well, many of the ETH coins led. This is clear on Velo data. This is clear on Bounty Bubbles. You can see a lot of ETH coins were actually the strongest performers over the last day or so. This tweet from smartestmoney.eth says, you run a fund exposing the values of DeFi, but you got tired of holding lagging asset to chase meme coins because they were the next wave of culture coins. With the ETH ETF launching, TradFi will be looking more into the ETH ecosystem. What do you think they will be betting on? More memes or protocols with revenues, cash flows, FCF that they can run DCF models on? I kind of did like this take. It was a unique take in the market. It's kind of true. Like, I guess a lot of these ETH coins are viewed in a more institutional manner because they're revenue generating, and, you know, coins like Aave, Lido, MakerDAO, they all fit this category. But what are the strongest from a TA perspective that, you know, I personally like in terms of setups? The first one's actually PEPE. I guess PEPE, for whatever reason, is kind of viewed in the market as the leading ETH meme coin, similarly to how you have WIF as the leading Solana meme coin. So PEPE, what I like about it is, yes, it had a major capitulation week, but it responded really strongly. ETH went up 7%, remember. PEPE pumped 20%, so it's very, very, very strong from a relative strength perspective. And what I do like is the fact that you have a clear reclamation here of this key support level, previous resistance, very key level, at the 0.0000112 zone, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say the 0.112 zone. You had a nice bounce off this zone, and this is generally a zone that I'm interested in longing because you have clear invalidation below. So I actually recently took a long on PEPE. I'm riding that long from the support level. Obviously, if you're trading with leverage, you need to be much more picky and try to get an entry really close to this support so you have clear invalidation so you don't get stopped out. If you're trading spot, you can be a little bit more lax. Anywhere in this vicinity is probably good. And then you're targeting your first TP at the 0.128 level, which is another 8% from here. And then, of course, if you start to break that level, then you do open up the possibility of new highs. But that would take a very strong thrust from PEPE, and it would likely mean that PEPE has led the ETH run. But it is one that I think is a candidate to do so if these ETH coins continue to kick into gear over the next week. Then you've got ENS. ENS is a coin that led. It's one that Paradise mentioned in the Discord, pushed up really strongly, 41% from this level. The reason I'm putting it in this video isn't because I love it as a trade or even as a token, but what I am starting to notice is it's flirting on the daily with this major resistance level. If you do close above, just from a pure TA perspective, I think the chances of it coming up to testing its highs at $31 is extremely high, and that's another 13% move to the upside. So for traders, you do have invalidation here as well. So I do like ENS as a trade, not as bullish from, you know, a spot long perspective for a multi-week trade or even a multi-month trade like I am on Ethereum and PEPE, but, you know, maybe for a shorter-term trade, this is a good one. Will Clemente did a tweet about Lido. This is another ETH coin. He said, think Lido might finally get time to shine in July. ETH ETF launching soon. SEC charges versus ETH dissolved. Obviously, that is a strong narrative behind Ethereum right now as well. We had the SEC officially calling Ethereum a commodity yesterday, which was massive news for the market, by the way. ETH BTC is constructive, I agree. Lido ETH and Lido BTC look good. Regulatory shifts in the US. Pretty much all the points that underpin my thesis today as well. And from a TA perspective, you have Lido moving nicely off this capitulation wick, 35% to the upside. But what I do like is you have a clear breakout level to take the next trade. So we are in no man's land at the time of recording this video. Well, we're not actually no man's land. We're at a rejection level, right? A resistance level. But if we can break above this level, it becomes very, very clear for Lido in terms of its potential to the upside. So it's this level you want to watch. This 200 EMA on the daily, a level that's been super significant for Lido, and to be honest, most tokens in the past, it's a significant level for. And then you also have this trend line, and a lot of these diagonal trend lines are rubbish, but I actually do think this one holds some merit in terms of trend, because you did have a rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, rejection here. Typically, when it comes to TA, a line or a level or a general blueprint has a higher efficacy the more times that level's tested. It's the same for support, it's the same for resistance, and it's the same for a trend line like this, which is why I am keeping my eye on it in confluence with the 200 EMA. And then, of course, you do have, you know, your previous highs that you do want to take out in order for Lido to push up to, you know, $354. But for now, keep an eye on this level. Unless it moves back down to lows, that would be the next place to bid. You're looking for a breakout here. The other one that is a little bit further behind Lido in terms of its advancement on this recent pump, but I still like it from a similar perspective, is MakerDAO, which has pushed up 10% versus Lido's 25%. And you also have this trend line, albeit slightly less validated than the Lido trend, but it's still showing a similar pattern of you have the 200 EMA, you have this major trend line, it's an ETH coin, it's got the right narrative, and it actually did break above its 200 MA. So this is an interesting one for MakerDAO. I like how it's tested bullish of this 200 EMA on the daily. This is actually a zone where I'm interested in a small entry. Probably going to take one right after recording this video, now that I'm thinking about it and looking at this chart a little bit more. And then you do have this next level to target here. So there you go. I am actually going to take this long straight after this video. So let's see where the price is at when it releases. But I'm going to get this video super fast out after I record it. Probably 30 minutes it'll be out. Then the other sector of altcoins that I'm looking at, and we will get into the altcoins I'm avoiding as well at the end of the video, remember that. But one last sector I'm looking at are the RWA altcoins. So these are also kind of synonymous with ETH. They have the tokenization, Larry Fink Ethereum narrative. You got the first one, which is ONDO. Gave us an amazing chance to get another entry at $1. Congrats to all of those that did get that high time frame level, which is $1. It's bounced really strongly, one of the strongest bounces. It's reclaimed its 200 EMA on the 4-hour. It's broken above its major support level at 116. Obviously flipped resistance, but to be honest, wasn't really much resistance. Didn't take much to break through. And now it's targeting its range high again. 133 is actually a take profit zone for me. Going to be honest, this level here. So what you're looking for is either a retest of this level for an entry or a breakout of this level for an entry. One of the two, but it is in no man's land from a trader perspective, right? From a spot perspective, I still think relative strength-wise, it does outperform alongside the other alts in the market. Remember what I said about outperform. Outperform doesn't mean you're making a 5 to 10x. Outperform in this market means you're just doing better than the rest of the market, which is really your goal as an investor. You're trying to outperform the market. Bitcoin and your, I guess, counterparties when you're trading. Another interesting one is OM. This is one I spoke about on the show yesterday, which actually responded really nicely after the show, which technically is maintaining this uptrend of higher lows here. It has a major level that I want you to keep an eye on at 75 cents. If you break this level, OM can come up and target these previous highs at $1.04 and $1.09. Keep your eye on Mantra because this is the play that consolidated in this range, just like ONDO consolidated in its range back, as you can see here, when it was in the 60-cent region. And if it breaks back above, it could go on that expansionary leg to the upside, just like it did in early June. And then the last RWA coin I want to talk about is Pendle. Also responded strongly off the lows. Remember this, the theme of this video is relative strength. That's how we're playing the market right now. It's up 23%, broken through its 200 EMA on the 4-hourly, and is now pushing up towards its next major resistance level at 6.3. Similar PA to ONDO, kind of in no man's land, but I think from a spot perspective, if you're looking at multi-week/month positioning, probably going to do better in this one than a lot of other alts in the market as well. And once again, that is the theme of today's video. And I just want to rapid fire. Before we get into the altcoins I'm avoiding, I want to rapid fire go through some charts that Paradise, one of our lead expert analysts in the Discord, posted. So he has his Pendle trade here. You can see the level. I'm just going to go really quickly through just to give you a sneak peek of the kind of stuff Paradise posts. So as you can see, Pendle is looking good, pivoting off this major level. ONDO, he says nice over under at the 3-day SR level. Looks like it's running for the triple equal highs here. Have alerts set at the support resistance level. H4 imbalance below for a retrace. As you can see, since posting this and since opening his trade, he is significantly up on this, which is amazing. He did manage to catch the lows on that. He posted another chart here on a slightly lower time frame. You can see here, Phantom is another coin that he finds interesting. He says that had a great reaction off the monthly demand level, looking for a sweep of the local lows into the stacked H4 and H1 imbalances. As you can see here, Pendle, he says, is one of the strongest movers from the lows, further fueled by the ETH SEC news. He's watching the H1 point of breakout of the major sweep on Tuesday and the stacked H1 POB plus H4 imbalance. Those in the group that listen to Paradise's education would have a better understanding for these terms. Won't get into it too much in today's video, but we do a lot of education in the group because we want to, of course, make people better traders at the end of the day that are interested in a more trading style. Of course, we have the investors there as well, like myself, like Doc, like Fabian, but we also have the trading element in this group as well. So he likes Pendle, as we discussed as well. He's also looking at ENS. He has a setup on PEPE. He posted a setup on PEPE earlier. It's actually pumped since then. Broke out of this range here on the, I think, 40-minute chart. He does some lower time frame stuff. And then he goes through some weak coins. So this is the discussion I want to pivot into now. It's the weak coins in the market. So you can see coins like TIA breaking below major levels. You can see coins like SAY breaking below major levels. But it's kind of interesting. From a trader's perspective, these are the coins I'm avoiding. From a perspective of, okay, I want to beat the market for the next few weeks and months, I would avoid these. But if you've got a longer term approach and you just want to position in coins that, generally speaking, could do well for you and pull decent multiples into Q4, Q1, whenever you think the market's going to recover, these do become interesting high time frame plays. So I would avoid them as lower time frame plays, but I would gravitate towards them if you're a higher time frame investor. Let me go through my own charts to show you this in more depth. So Injective is actually at a major high time frame level. Last time it wicked off this level on April 14th, it bounced amazingly. I mean, off the bounce at the recent highs, it was an 83% move. So these capitulation buys, these can be great moves, although they do take longer to play out. This move took 62 days to play out from the bounce versus some of the other coins I'm talking about today, which can move a bit quicker. Then you have TIA, which, look, I would avoid this until it starts to exhibit an uptrend. This is one of these coins where you're catching a knife. Knife catch, knife catch, knife catch every time it hits a support. Notice one thing. Every time it's dropped, it's had a relief bounce. Drop, relief bounce. Drop, relief bounce. Drop, relief bounce. Drop. This is a classic downtrend that is actually a shorter's coin. Why? Short opportunity, short opportunity, short opportunity, short opportunity. Maybe you would have gotten squeezed here. If you managed to top up margin, you also would have made big money on that capitulation, but not everyone would have. You would have made money, though, on 3 out of the 4, which means it's basically the perfect short coin because it's in a downtrend. What you want to look for to long a coin like this is an uptrend. So you want to wait for it to break this level. Remember we talked about it on the show a few weeks ago about if it could break this level, I'd be interested in going long. See how it couldn't, and it rejected and it became a short. If you start to exhibit an uptrend, you can start to get in on the lows. In on the lows, the retest of major levels. In on the lows, retest of major levels, right? This, buy at a breakout here. These are areas where I'm much more interested in longing tier versus trying to catch the low, because then you end up catching a falling knife and your average entry would be around here, $15, which means right now you would be down roughly 50%. So with these type of coins, I like to wait for reversals rather than catching a falling knife. With something like Injective, where it has a clear HTF retest, this becomes a better long-term long, but don't expect this to outperform strongly in the short term compared to the other alts I've discussed today. Near Protocol, similar thing, but this looks even worse. It's in a downtrend. Wait for a reversal here to start getting in. These are the kind of coins I'd avoid. And WIF is also an example I wanted to use because from a long-term spot perspective, I love WIF. I think it outperforms this cycle. In fact, it's one of my top 10 coins that I would want to be holding this cycle from a long-term spot point of view. But TA-wise, I'm not extremely interested in buying here. Okay, maybe you could take a slight nibble, right? Because if you do look at the lows, it did actually come and test this previous deviation low below the primary support level. I'll make it more obvious here. See how it's tested. You had another test here, here, and here. So this is a nice level. Problem is, its major range low support is at 224 and it hasn't reclaimed yet. So for me, from an HTF perspective on the daily, what I would rather see from WIF is a reclamation of this level, a retest, and then I'll get in here, and then hopefully I'll ride the run up to range highs if it does give you that. If it continues to do the opposite and bleed, you could take a trade here, but just have invalidation below, right? That's one option. But as it bleeds and bleeds and bleeds, don't catch a falling knife down, 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 and down, unless you're willing to just ride it for like 6 months. It's another strategy, but you have to be willing to be significantly underwater to do so. From my experience, most market participants, especially inexperienced participants, do not have the mental fortitude to do so. And in that case, you want to wait, as I discussed before, for an uptrend and reclamation of major levels like this. That is really the way you trade a coin like WIF. And in the Discord, in these midweek AMAs that we're going to be doing, I'm actually going to be charting alongside Paradise your coins live on these AMAs because I know I have a lot of demand for custom charts. A lot of you may hold altcoins, which I'm not discussing in these shows, or you may want to go more in depth on a specific coin. That's something we do in the group. If you are interested in signing up for the Mars High Club, there's only 100 spots left on the waitlist. Smallest intake we have ever done. It's filling up quick. Link in the description below. And in 5 days, you'll be let into the group if you are part of the first 100. And after that, we're going to lock it for another month until the end of July. So this is your last chance to get in if you are interested. Apart from that, I'm going to keep you updated in future videos later in the week if anything unfolds. Hopefully you got some alpha today on how I'm currently trading the market. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out.